those were those long meetings. The answer was yes. And that's when he came to government. We were and in many, many ways, we should be the solution of last resort. We want our businesses to prosper. We want private industry to be the investors. We want our local community banks putting up their capital on the line. That wasn't the case in this unique circumstance. So we pulled together. All parts of government came together, and as Bruce and Aunt Margaret have said, that's how we've gotten here today. And we had faith in the taxpayer and the employer and the entrepreneur and the innovator, and that brings the city to the point where we are, for the first time in a long time, optimistic about our future in this working waterfront. So I want to thank Scott for breaking down into smaller, more manageable pieces that unbearable burden that you are carrying all these years. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Galligan, the Vice President of Mass Development, and really the person who carried the ball over the goal line for us from a financing point of view. Mike?
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of Mass Development and Marty Jones, our president, who sends her regards. I'm also joined by one of my coworkers who is kind of our feet on the ground up here in Gloucester. She manages our state fish pier over at the John Reed Pier. It's Claire King. I just want to say that it was a pleasure working with Scott to work on the financial restructuring of the company in conjunction with Rockport National Bank and Mass Growth Capital Corp. The whole objective of this was to get them out from underneath a huge burden so that they could restructure the company, diversify their product lines, get some tenants into the building, and continue moving forward and growing the company. And here's to another 150 years. I'll be back to Meredith.
Our next speaker is Neil Martin, the Chief Operating Officer of the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation.
Well, thanks for being here, folks, and I'd like to thank a couple people first. Our friends in the legislature for putting MGCC together and funding us so we can make loans to small businesses across the Commonwealth in these situations that they get into. So we thank them and other elected officials that help us out with what we do. We're thrilled to be here today and have been able to help Cape Pond Ice restructure and move forward. Bob Tribuna from our group and Bill Delafano were the guys who really did all the work. I know Mike Galligan pulled us all together, and we had a great success here. So thank you all. Scott, best of luck. We hope you're here for another 166 years. Thank you.
Next speaker is the President of the Gloucester City Council and the Councilor from Ward 1, Paul McGeary.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Meredith, and thank you all for being here. I'll be brief. But I do want to reflect that when we took the vote in support of Scott's original application, we on the council think long and hard about that, because the decisions we take in the present have a knock-on effect that we can't always foresee. We have to think about what could happen here. And sometimes that frustrates people, and they say you're taking an awfully long time, but we're thinking it through. So we live in the present, but we think about the future. Just as we here today are surrounded by these buildings, but we're also looking out to the harbor and looking out to the future. And I think as we stand here today, we can see that future, and like today, it's a bright future. And I think the Commonwealth is recognized. that we in Gloucester have put our money on the table, our will and our spirit and our sweat, and they're backing it with money from the Commonwealth to help us preserve this asset. And remember, this asset isn't just for Gloucester. The designated port area preserves this infrastructure, not just for us, but for all the Commonwealth, for Sturbridge and Ludlow and Belchertown and Athol, because they understand, they, the Commonwealth, understand how important it is to our future that we have a vibrant maritime industrial industry. So we took that vote, we supported Scott in his effort, and we got the best of all possible worlds. We're still in the DPA, and we have a business plan that was viable for the future, and we have financing to make that happen. So I want to thank everybody who helped here today. I want to thank my fellow councilors for taking the vote that we took on that day. But I want to thank everybody from the state and from the city and from the community development department, everyone who worked on this, because this is a day in which we can all take pride. Thank you very much.
After Bruce Tarr, my second favorite Republican is Teddy Roosevelt. You know what? You are today, anyway. Teddy Roosevelt said something that I think applies very well to our next speaker. It is not the critic who counts, or how the strong man stumbled and fell, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotion, and spends himself on a worthy cause. And if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that he will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. I am happy to report that today Scott Memhard knows victory.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Where to start after all that's said? First, thank you for joining me and us for this occasion. It has been a hard year or two. It seems just yesterday we were told that the groundfish stocks would be rebounding in 2014 because we've all followed the rules. We've conserved, we've cut back, we've tightened our belts, and hung on, hoping. That is what the 2009 Gloucester Harbor Plan was premised on. But as we all know too well, that's not our current prospect. Like all the players in Gloucester's groundfish industry, all the fundamental hub port businesses, this old ice company, me, my wife Martha, my parents and sisters, our children Ian, Larry, and Marie, our long-serving staff, and all their families, our loyal customers, and our staunch vendors, all of us have been severely challenged. We've been left uncertain, knocked down financially and emotionally. When I had the chance last summer to meet Senator Elizabeth Warren, I told her that she was likely shaking the hand of the last Iceman of Gloucester. And I asked her, please, not to make kind promises or raise false hopes for a rebound. Many of you know that on top of everything else, I slipped on that damn hazardous ice back in bleak February, and I broke my ankle. The miracles of modern medicine, an amazing orthopedic surgeon, the professional team at the hospital, the devoted nurses, and the well-trained physical therapists did for my broken ankle and my atrophied casted leg muscles what today Ann Margaret, Meredith, Bruce, Mike Galligan, Mayor Kirk, Paul McGarry, Mike Luster, Rockport National Bank, Bob Termino, Mass Growth Capital Corp. Have done here. These folks have succeeded in mending the broken financial bones of Cape Pond Ice Company. And they have, in fact, given us a rebound and put us back on our feet. There's a life-saving workshop going on right now across the harbor at the U.S. Coast Guard Station. Well, it seems to me that the committed elected leaders and the professional bankers here with us today have literally saved Cape Pond Ice. They have kept us afloat and alive. Their life-giving attentions, tenacity, and resourcefulness have provided the ice company with a resuscitating electric shock. And because of their efforts on our behalf, Cape Pond Ice Company can extend our 166-year run and continue as a player in the evolving harbor economy of Gloucester. In addition to our refinancing, this spring has been uplifting with an amazing opportunity to work with talented Salem State University MBA marketing students. Some of them are here this afternoon, focusing on Cape Pond Ice as a case study, and with Walter Mannanen and Dr. Alice DeConing. Likewise, two fresh, inspiring teams of MBA students at Emerson College with their devoted professor and Lanesville resident, Bill Anderson. And we will be receiving financial support from Bob Baker and the Smaller Business Association of New England for further marketing initiatives, as well as from the New England Trade Adjustment Assistance Center. We've had this good news from Mass DEP about our options here within DPA restrictions in Gloucester. And Meredith has managed to find us a team of talented architects who specialize in marine port infrastructure projects. Dan and Marie Adams, who are in the back here, told us, their firm is called Landing Studio, they told us that it is difficult to find a wonderful redevelopment opportunity like Cape Pond Ice. Is that music to my ears? Our iconic Cape Pond Ice can now morph into collaborating with something new. Perhaps the Marine Science, Arts, and Innovation Center at Cape Pond Ice. Perhaps a shared development kitchen. Maybe the new Endicott College ice skating and curling rink. And their campus on Gloucester Harbor. When I had the opportunity to have dinner with, what's his name, Walter? Dr. Wiley. Last Saturday afternoon, I took advantage of the opportunity to suggest that idea to him. He said, get back to me after graduation this spring. And still here have a reliable commercial ice service. It is now my deep honor to present my lifesavers with an appropriate token of the thanks and the gratitude that they deserve, and so they can be regularly reminded to continue reaching out with a helping hand to the rest of our proud but distressed fishing industry. I should say first that I've exhausted the inventory of life rings at 3 Lanterns, so they're not all the same style or size, and I do have more on order coming soon to recognize a few more of our good friends who are not up here on the platform.
This is why Scott is the coolest guy around.
Senator Carr. Michael Luster.
close with a few words from Wendy Fitting, from Reverend Fitting, and then I hope that you all stay for our wonderful lunch from Virgilio's. Thank you so much for coming.
In 1995, the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church collaborated in an interfaith effort to mark the 50th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. Kids in our Sunday schools folded peace cranes for months. We had a special service. Our observation went on for about a week, culminating in the tradition from Japan of sending lit candles on an outgoing tide at night. And we said, well, what are we going to put them in? We don't want to pollute the harbor any more than it is. And we don't want paper rubbish. So we came to Scott Memhart and asked him to make us ice boats. And he brought them down to the beach down here. And they were sort of inverted pyramids. And they had a place for a candle. And we sent them out in the dark on the outgoing tide and lit up the harbor to the extent that the Coast Guard started coming around to see what was going on, which was good. It was good to know. So that's a Scott story, one of my favorites. And I have Cape Pond ice underwear. This is an excerpt from a poem entitled Dreams Upon Waking by Adrian Rich. What would it mean to live in a city whose people were changing each other's despair into hope? You yourself must change it. What would it feel like to know your country was changing? You yourself must change it.